to my little podcast.
I'm delighted to be here.
Are you now?
No, but that's okay.
Would you rather be like a phone-in mom that calls in?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, yeah.
As long as I don't look at myself, I'm all right.
Oh, please.
Ah,
Mother.
uh-huh.
So we started a conversation a couple weeks ago, and I thought it'd be a fun topic for us to explore a little further um, about curiosity. And I was mentioning to you that I went to, like, there's been a couple parties I went to this summer, and I came home and I was like, okay, like that was a lot of work for me. I just talked and asked questions and asked questions and asked questions. And once I stopped asking questions, that was the end of the conversation. So I guess it wasn't a conversation after all.
No,
And you made a comment like, is curiosity dead? And I thought that was really interesting, right? It got us to kind of talk a little bit more. So I thought I'd ask you, because I attribute a lot of my curiosity to you, but do you, you teaching me? But do you think that people are born with curiosity, that they're naturally curious, or that that is something that you have to be taught?
that's a really good question that I don't know the answer to. I just feel that I came to curiosity naturally. If you're interested in what's going on around you, then you become curious. I think what's lacking is interest.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, we're not interested in other people around us. We're holding a phone and we're taking pictures of ourselves, right? Which I don't like to do, but I don't think I have an answer to that question. Honestly, I don't know. I just feel like I've always said that if you're interested, you're interesting.
Yeah, you have
So
always said that.
if you, right, if you run into people that aren't interested in you after you express interest in them in their
And
story,
I'm not interesting. No.
no, they're not interesting. They're not interesting. So if you can jump over that hurdles, sometimes they're just shy or they don't want to share because they're very closed and not open to new entanglements or relationships. But I'm talking about um, mostly, I think that we're here on the planet to share with others and to learn from others, to connect with others. And if that isn't happening, what are we doing?
Right.
I don't get what the purpose is. I missed it. I didn't get that lesson because I just have met the most interesting people that I'll never see again on airplanes and next to me on a train or a bus, or because I was curious and interested in their story, I started a conversation. And I've learned about what it's like to be a symphony member in New York. And I've learned what it's like to be a priest in South Africa or a doctor in the United States of America because I ask questions. And I love the little tidbits of stories that I get from the people I meet because I always know they have something to teach me. So I find it really hard to live in a world where people aren't interested. And
Right.
many times I've run into the same situation you did, where I met a guy one time. We were at a motorcycle event and we had a dinner afterwards sitting at the table. And I'm just thinking, let's start a conversation. So I started a conversation with a guy across from me, and he was a magician. How many times do you meet a magician? Well, I went nuts. I was just like, well, how did you start that? I mean, I'm just so curious as to what got you interested in it and how many years have you practiced and what kinds of performances do you do and do you include your kids? And I got done with that conversation. It wasn't a conversation. I knew everything about this guy and his history, and he asked me nothing. It wasn't like I didn't give him time, because I did shut up every once in a while, but it was so sad to me that I found what he was doing the most fascinating thing, because I've never met a person that did that and got paid for it. And it was so sort of sad.
Yeah, one-sided. I think the joy of connection is, you know, finding that the energy. I don't know, like you get like a spark from someone,
Mhm.
and I know that you've experienced that. I've experienced it too. And it's not like, I mean, curiosity can be one way. I mean, I'm in sales and I'm a recruiter, so I am curious about who I'm interviewing. But what makes me feel good about what I do is when I know I've asked the question that gets them to light up, and then they know that I see them. And then
Yes.
it's almost like they are like grateful that I saw them, and then they lean into me, and that is so rewarding, right?
Yes. Yes,
And
it is.
I guess maybe like what you're saying too is like, yeah, some people are just closed off to that, or maybe it's timing, maybe they just, it's what they're going through. But I thought it was, as we come out of, we all experienced COVID and we were together all that time. And I do think that that was a hard time for people to come out of, right? I think we're still experiencing people coming out of it and not feeling, like with all the political stuff that's out there, and feeling like we have to take sides. It's almost like we'd rather not have that conversation
Mhm. Yeah,
at
that's
all. And
true.
it's so sad to me.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad.
Just, yeah, but I guess, too, it's with the kids, I do worry that the phone has replaced people.
Mhm.
They're missing, and I don't want to generalize, but it just seems, and it's not just kids, it's all of us at the dinner table,
Mhm.
not seeing one another, not being present. And in today's world, which is so different than what you grew up with, what I grew up with, because I didn't have phones, it's it's you have to be conscious now
That's
as a
right.
parent, to say, hey, that's
Mhm.
not the place or time, or even as a young adult to be like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. Let's not have our phones at the table.
Right. Well, I think too, you have to teach children how to have a conversation, what a conversation entails, and I think that's somehow missing. I think that that step has been missing for a while, in families and in school, because I think teachers have an opportunity to share that with kids. And I've seen that from Teachers of the Year snippets on television, where a Teacher of the Year explained to children that it's a give and take between two people. I was going to bring something up too, Tosh, that kind of concern me about this, because I think there are people that are resistant to a lot of questions, because I'm an inquisitor. I ask a lot of questions because I want to know. Well, I think part of it is your intention in wanting to know whether or not you are interested in the person and their personal story for the purpose of sharing with others gossipy things. Are you collecting personal information that's really close to their heart and then sharing it with the world? That probably isn't the best of intention. But my intention, usually I hope, is to come from a place of I want to learn from you. I know we're here sitting on this train next to one another, and we could just sit on the train next to one another. Never interact at all, never have any conversation. But if we did start a conversation, what can I learn from you? And how can I use that to grow? If in just a little bit, the idea that my world opened up when I knew that somebody could actually be musical and be on a subway, and have this history of music in their life, and I can't sing a note, and I was just amazed at how wonderful that is to fill somebody's life with. But the intention was for me to learn, not to be the grand inquisitor, and to take some personal tidbit of information from his life, use his name, and then use that against him, or to share with others that don't need to know. I think
Right.
that's really important.
So you have to almost relay that intention in a conversation if you start one.
Hmm. You can. I think some people know. I once read this. I thought I've never forgotten it. And I've forgotten a lot. So that if you speak from your deepest heart and share with your deepest soul with someone else, they'll know not to share that with anyone else.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's true. I don't think it's always true. But I
Yeah.
always think about that. If you really share your deepest fears, your deepest sorrow, your heartbreak, that should be kept as a special gift. And when I have shared with friends my deepest heart, and then I backtrack and I say, oh, geez, I've just dumped all over you, that, I just need my whole life of feelings. I have had certain people in my life turn to me and say, thank you. I feel privileged that you shared with me. This was a special gift and I'll treasure it.
Mhm.
Now that really is a connection with another human being that gets it.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
lovely.
was,
Love
and
that.
that's a lesson I learned from talking to
Right.
a friend. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I have to say too, like my business coach, he's very intuitive and he's, I've had some with this new role ups and downs, like almost like feeling, do I know how to talk to people? I thought I knew how to talk to people, and I'm talking to people for a short period of time, and I've faced some people that are very like just it's their time and it's their direct right up front. And usually I lean in with my silliness or, and they don't have time for that. So I've had to like retrain and think things through. But he most recently just said, to me, he's like, Tosh, you're really overthinking. And he's like, I do think it comes from you, like it's what he's like, you have to, it's almost like what you said, it's like you're I'm putting out goodness, I'm putting out love, my
Mhm.
intention is to guide the conversation the way only I know how to do. And he's like, let go of the script, go with you before you even pick up the phone. Just know you're leading with your heart and that intention of abundance. And I have to say, like, yeah, that works.
Yes.
It's like it does work. You put it
Yeah.
out there and it is, you put out the kindness, and sometimes you meet people, that are at the right time. I have to say, more than not, I remember the stories, of the people that you've met, the excitement you had when you brought them home, or I mean, you got me. I mean, I remember I invited a stranger to Thanksgiving dinner once, and that was interesting. Maybe
Yeah,
I
it
should have
was.
thought more than twice about that one, but I'm so glad I learned that from
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
and I've taught my kids that, like,
Mhm.
that we're people, and we want to share in life.
Yes. Yes. Well, and to understand that not everybody is like that.
Right.
That's a
Set
hard
people where
lesson.
they are.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm always like, why? But
Yeah.
yeah, they're
It's
not.
because they're just not, and they're very guarded in what they share because maybe they've been stung by people who are really curious, and maybe they have reasons to be a closed hearted person, and that's, I feel it's sad for them because I just find it so much more fun. This is the fun I get out of living on the planet, is
Right.
to turn around and talk to somebody and they look kind of familiar, but I'm not sure if I've met them before. I did that in Tallulah's the other day. I turned around and this woman was wearing the most gorgeous top. It was like a electric blue, my favorite. And I said, "Oh my gosh, you just look gorgeous." And she returned the compliment. And I said, "Well, it's good to see you." And she said, "Oh, we've met." And I'd forgotten we met. And I said, "We have." And she said, "Yes, remember, blah, 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 blah. You know, we met, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Oh my goodness, that's right." So we walked to the library together and we shared. What a wonderful way to go to the library. I could have been by myself.
Yeah.
And I could have not had that experience. And it was because I turned around and saw somebody. I honestly, I thought she looked a little bit familiar, but it wasn't like recognizing her instantaneously. When she said we'd met, it was a brief meeting and I have an excuse for not remembering it, but still, how delightful. Now I know who she is and she might remember me or not because she meets a lot of people in her field. So, that's okay. It's okay. It made my day. I got to have companionship on the walk to the library.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
good
fun.
stuff. Yeah, I do think curiosity is fun, and I do hope that it's not dead. I hope that it's something that people continue to, explore, because it is a bigger world that I think once you open up to the bigger world, you realize that it can't even be small. Like you may know people that are connected. And I think that recently happened to you where you met this, couple that came to one of your meetings and you met a guy that knew another family member in another state. It was, I don't know, but I thought that was pretty cool.
It was
So,
very interesting how we are, what is it, 6 degrees of separation?
of Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love
Well,
that.
we're running out of time, Mama, but I
Okay.
love our conversations. I'm the luckiest daughter that gets to live next door to you and have fun conversations with you pretty much every day.
Thank
And
you.
I'm very grateful that you taught me to be curious, and I continue to learn how to ask more questions and go deeper with people. Because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know what else to say. But I know just to lean in with, with the heart that I have is really all I need to do.
Well, thank you for being my daughter.
Love you,
It's
Mommy.
been a trip.
My mommy.
Love you too.
You'll
Lily.
come back soon on my little podcast.
Oh, of course.